You're watching NBA Now Live. I am Will Scott. There is a lot to get into on today's show. Just got an interesting report about Jaylen Brown. Plus, Zion Williamson, is he going to get moved? We're going to get into all the latest news and rumors. Plus, got the draft coming up on Thursday. We're going to get you the Ringer's latest mock draft. Shout out your city down in the comments section. I want to know, where are you watching from? John Edward Kruger, man, you got a little profile picture change. I didn't know you were a Gamecocks fan. NFL Kid, what's up, my man? Carter Reimer, I know you. What's up, bro? NFL Kid is in Raleigh, North Carolina. Jake saying, send Zion to Orlando. You know what, Jake? If you use hashtag NBA there, you can get on a mailbag coming up on today's show. Christopher Flores is in Porterville. Nicholas is in Detroit. Christopher, where's Porterville, my man? Let me know. AJ's in Phoenix. Justin is in Miami. H-Town 713. You won't be able to guess where he's from, Coop. Houston, Texas. That's my hometown. Let's go, man. We'll be talking about the Rockets a little bit on today's show. Rondell is from Syracuse. Coop, do you know anyone that lived in Syracuse for a little while?
I'm not familiar. I don't know.
I feel like there's some guy at the office who went to college.
Never heard of him.
Carter Reimer saying Willie Finns is better than Willie NBA. You're probably right. I still love covering the NBA, though, my man. JK Memes, she's not home right now, bro, so joke's on you. Devin, send Zion to the Knicks with RJ and in the Duke days. Okay, I can see that happening. Christopher, all about the Celtics. You're going to want to stick around, Chris, because we're going to talk about Jaylen Brown here in a second. Raphael is in Miami, so is Justin. I'm guessing y'all are Heat fans. Shout out your favorite NBA team down in the comments section. Who's your favorite team? I grew up in Houston, so I'm going to say the Rockets. I also cover the Celtics, and then producer Scoop, big Mavs guy. John Edward Kruger, you didn't have to tell me that. I know you're a Celtics guy. Mark White, all about the Mavs. Big Merc is in Tucson and is a Suns fan. Did the Suns do anything eventful over the weekend, producer Coop?
Not that I know of. I must have missed something.
I don't know, man. Happened. I mean, I was watching the golf yesterday. I wasn't really paying attention to anything the Suns did. Kadeem is in Philly, all about the Sixers. Deverick saying H-Town, go Rockets. They're going to have an interesting offseason. James is a Heat fan. Be sure you're subscribed to our new Miami Heat channel, The Heat Report. Go look it up. Carter Reimer saying Suns are overrated. Look, they got a great roster, but is that roster going to be able to work? I don't know, because they have no depth. Got the draft coming up on Thursday. We're going to be live here on Chat Sports. Producer Coop, who is your favorite NBA draft prospect? And you can't say Victor Wembanyama.
If you can't say Victor?
You can't say Victor Wembanyama.
Got to go with my guy Taylor Hendricks.
I'm with you. I like Taylor Hendricks. I like Taylor Hendricks a lot. You know who I like that might be a really good value pick? Marcus Sasser.
Marcus
good
Sasser's
late,
a winner, man.
Late first, early two.
I think he goes in the second round, and I think some team gets a steal.
He could be the biggest steal in this draft. Could be the biggest steal.
Like Will said, we'll be live for the NBA draft on Thursday. Every single pick, you'll hear from Will, you'll hear from myself, you'll hear from Chase Sr., Harrison Graham, all of the NBA big brains at Chat Sports. We'll be here, we'll be live. I think Victor's going first. I think we can say that, right?
I think that's safe to say. I wouldn't be surprised if he's already got a house purchased in the hills in San Antonio, if he has a country club membership perhaps at TPC San Antonio. I wouldn't be surprised if he was already there enjoying a Riverwalk margarita. I mean, why even go to the draft? Might as well just get a head start on life in San Antonio. Damn, a Riverwalk margarita sounds pretty good right now. Hashtag NBA or Super Chat to be featured on our mailbag coming up. There's a lot to discuss. We've got 5 segments coming up on today's show. One of those segments will be a mailbag. If you want to get on the show, the best way to do that is Super Chatting. Guarantees you a spot on our show, or you can use hashtag NBA for a chance to get in our show. Even though that's coming up later on, you can start getting your questions in right now using hashtag NBA. If you're ready for the show, like the video. Right now, we have over 120 people watching. but only 22 likes. And it's a great Taylor Swift song, 22, but I want more than 22 likes. Come on, let's get to 50 likes here in the next few minutes. Got a lot to talk about. We want to be able to, reach a large audience here, get people more involved. The more likes we get, the more people come across our channel, the more fun we have here on Chat Sports. So like the video. Let's get to 50 likes here. Like the video if you want today's show to get started. Devin, I saw you just asked a question. Use hashtag NBA at the end of that to get on the show. We'll be sure to put you on our mailbag, my man. Almost to 50 likes. Let's get to 50 likes. 32 likes right now. JK Memes, excited to hear about Zion Williamson. John Young watching from Brentwood, England. Massive Thunder fan. He's also a Dolphins fan. Dolphins, John is someone that's interacted with a lot of Dolphins fans. You're probably the first guy I've ever seen that's also an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, so congratulations. And it's also from Brentwood, England as well. All right, we're ready to get today's show started. Lots to talk about. We'll start with the latest on that's what we're starting with today, right? Jaylen Brown. Is that the plan? Okay. We'll start talking about an update that we just got on Jaylen Brown. And Brown is a guy that's been in a lot of trade rumors recently, especially after the end of the Celtics season. A lot of people thought it was possible that he might get moved. But if you are, let's say, a fan of the Hawks, the Rockets, the Blazers that wanted to trade for Jaylen Brown, you might not love the segment coming up because it looks like he might be staying in Boston. Donald and Stacy, be sure to use hashtag NBA if you want to get on our mailbag. H-Town713 boy saying that Jaylen's going to stay in Boston. Yeah, there was a report that came out. We'll get to that in a second, but be sure to stay tuned for that. All right, ready to roll? All right, we're ready to get started with the segment discussing Jaylen Brown and also some other Celtics news and rumors. You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports. We have some big news on Jaylen Brown. A report coming in from the Boston Globe. We'll get to that in a second. But first, make sure you subscribe because free agency's coming up. The draft is coming up. If the Celtics make a move, we're going to have you guys covered. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, turn on your notifications. It's the best way to stay in the loop with all things C's. It is going to be a wild off season. The best way to stay in the loop, subscribing to the channel. So be sure to hit that subscribe button below. Adam Himmelsbach of the Boston Globe with this big update on Jaylen Brown, saying that all signs point toward the NBA All-Star signing a mass extension with the Boston Celtics. NBA Central tweeting this out moments ago. The Celtics do not intend to trade Jaylen Brown, who, of course, has been in a lot of trade rumors, and all signs continue to point toward Brown signing a 5-year, $295 million extension. That's a lot of money with Boston, per Adam Himmelsbach of the Boston Globe. Now, is this the right decision from Boston to give Jaylen Brown, who, let's admit, kind of struggled in the playoffs, the max? Type Y for yes or N for no down in the comments section. Is this the right decision from Boston to give Jaylen Brown the max? Again, this is not official, but the Boston Globe is reporting that it is going to happen in all likelihood. Taking a look at what this extension is going to look like. So it would begin this new contract in the 2024-2025 season. He would make $50 million. Then the next year, $54 million. After that, $58 million. After that, $62 million. And then in 2028, 2029, $66.66 million. That's enough to buy plenty of Sam Adams pints over there at Lansdowne in Boston. Jaylen Brown put up these numbers with Boston last year. The best year of his career, at least statistically, 26.6 points per game, 3.5 assists per game, 6.9 rebounds per game. He shot 49.1% from the floor, 33.5% from three. However, he was not as good in the playoffs. Those numbers down, especially when you look at the series against the Miami Heat. He is a big reason that the Celtics did not advance to the NBA Finals. In fact, a lot of people blaming his playoff performance for the reason the Celtics had a disappointing end to the 2022-2023 season, losing to the Heat in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. We'd appreciate you sharing this video. We're trying to grow the channel before the draft and before free agency. Here is how you share the video. Get this out to your Celtics friends and family on social media. You're going to click the share button, select the Twitter icon, and then click post to Twitter. We'd appreciate you doing that. Helps us grow our channel here on Chat Sports. My take on the Jaylen Brown extension that appears very much likely to happen. He's pricey. We just saw those contract numbers. It's not going to be cheap, but this is a move you have to make because we know, and some people maybe outside of Boston will disagree with me on what I'm about to say, but you can win a championship with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as your top 2 guys, period. You know how I know that? Because they were this close last year and then very close again this season. 1 win away from the NBA Finals. They didn't get it done. But I think if you run it back, you add some pieces around them, this team can win not just one NBA title. This team can win a couple NBA titles with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum as your top 2 guys. Now, do they need to completely run it back with the same roster? No. They need to change some things. But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been fantastic. Those need to be your top 2 guys moving forward. It would not have made sense to trade Jaylen Brown unless he didn't sign an extension. And I said a couple weeks ago when the season ended that they were going to have to make a call on JB one way or another, either extend him or trade him. And I said the only reason you should trade him is if you offer him $295 million, and he still says no. But now that it looks like, at least according to this report, that he's going to sign the extension, you should absolutely get this done. Lock Jaylen Brown up long-term, and then maybe next year, lock Jason Tatum up long-term as well. Try to win a championship with those guys. Got the NBA draft coming up on Thursday. We are looking forward to it. You can watch our Chat Sports main channel coverage, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Victor Wembanyama going to the Spurs, but who's going to the Celtics? We'll have to find that out. The Celtics pick at number 35 on Thursday night, early in the second round. And unlike ESPN, we're not going to have commercials, right? Nikola Jokic got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Not going to happen when the Celtics pick at 35. Be sure to subscribe to our main channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Looking forward to seeing you all there. I'm going to be a part of that coverage on Thursday night. Grant Williams could get moved before then, potentially, maybe after then. But Adam Himmelsbach in that same story that had maybe the Jaylen Brown extension, saying that was on the horizon, also reporting that teams have inquired about a sign and trade when it comes to Grant Williams. Now, Williams is a restricted free agent, so that's why it would be a sign and trade if you were able to move Grant Williams. Here are some teams that he has been linked to. These are the 5 teams I've seen linked the most. The Miami Heat, they were actually going after him at this past trade deadline. It didn't happen, obviously. The Dallas Mavericks, the Milwaukee Bucks, Orlando Magic, and Indiana Pacers, all teams that are expected to inquire or perhaps have already inquired about Grant Williams. Do you think the Celtics should bring back Grant Williams? Type 1 for yes or 0 for no. Down in the comments section, you tell me, chime in down in the comments, should the C's bring back Grant Williams? Now let's get into this mock draft from the Ringer. Who do they have the Celtics picking at number 35 overall? That would be UCLA forward Jaime Jaquez at number 35. I would love this pick. A lot of mock drafts I've seen have Jaquez Jr. going before pick number 35, but if he's on the board there, I think he should be the guy. Taking a look at the numbers he put up in his senior year at UCLA, 17.8 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game, 1.5 steals per game. He shot 48.1% from the floor And when you look up the definition of winner in the dictionary, a picture of Jaime Jaquez Jr. comes up. This guy won a lot of games during his tenure at UCLA. He's the guy I've seen linked to Boston the most. We've seen Sasser, we've seen James Nagy, we've seen some other guys linked, but he is the guy that I have seen mocked to Boston the most, which gives me some optimism. He's going to be there at pick number 35. Should the Celtics draft Jaime Jaquez Jr. out of UCLA, D for draft, P for pass? Down in the comment section. Go down, chime in, let me know what you think. Kevin O'Connor said this: Jaquez would become an instant fan favorite as a glue guy with playmaking, feel, and hard-nosed defense. It's unclear if Boston will keep this pick, though. Sources say the Celtics are exploring ways to bolster the roster, whether it's a sign-and trade involving Grant Williams, interesting, during free agency, or something consolidating their plethora of guards. What will Boston do with pick number 35? That is a question that we all have right now. I think they're going to keep the pick. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/CelticsTV. Again, we are going to have you covered with all Celtics news and rumors throughout what's going to be a busy offseason. What do y'all think? Let me know in the live chat. Should the Celtics extend Jaylen Brown again? This would be a max extension, 5 years, $295 million. I know I said earlier it's enough to buy a couple Sam Adams. He might be able to buy the company Sam Adams.
Legitimately.
I mean, with $295 million? That's a lot of money. Do you think, Producer Coop, that he's worth that?
Yes and no. If it's my money, am I giving him that? No. I think his market dictates that he is worth that because I think someone would overpay him to get him away from the Celtics. And I don't think the Celtics have any other choice but to pay him.
So I am going to disagree with you. I don't think he'd get that much in free agency next year.
Well, the Celtics, are the only team that can pay him that kind of money.
Right.
Think whatever his 4-year max is, I do think he would get that in free agency. And I don't think the Celtics want to find that out, so they just want to get the deal done this summer as soon as they can. And
I don't think it made sense for the Celtics to break up the Jays. We know that they can win together. Yeah, they haven't gotten a finals championship out of it. They haven't gotten a championship out of it, but still, they've come close the last 2 years. I think it makes sense to run it back with that group. Got a lot more coming up on today's live show. We got some news and rumors to discuss. Been a busy couple of days in the association, Producer Coop. And, I think this Bradley Beal trade going to lead to a lot of other things happening potentially.
Mark Stein, who is a great NBA insider, he has a Substack. He said that he thinks this will be one of the craziest NBA off seasons in recent memory as far as trades go. We've already had a Bradley Beal trade. If there's something bigger than that, I'd love to see it. So we'll see what happens.
Could it be Zion?
We'll talk about it. Good team.
We are going to talk about it.
That's what they call in the biz a tease.
Oh, yeah. Why Big Jordan saying yes, they should extend him. AJ saying 4-year max. AJ Scales saying no. We'll see. I think they should extend him. I think it makes some sense to extend him. Got a lot more news and rumors around the association to discuss coming up. We ready to get into our news and rumors here? All right, let's do it. Here's what's coming up on today's show. Draymond Green has officially declined his $27 million player option for this upcoming season. Plus, Zion Williamson, a lot of trade buzz. What's the latest there? And then Damian Lillard to the Heat. Is that a possibility after they struck out trying to get Bradley Beal? And then Chris Paul, he was in that Bradley Beal trade going to Washington. Could he be going back to the Clippers because the Wizards not expected to keep CP3? We're going to be live for every pick of the NBA draft on Thursday, so be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. Shams Charania tweeting this morning. Golden State Warriors 4-time NBA champion Draymond Green is declining his $27.5 million player option for the upcoming season and will enter unrestricted free agency, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul told The Athletic and Stadium. Draymond Green, I'm going to be honest, I don't get this decision to opt out of that contract. I don't think he is going to get $27.5 million per year elsewhere because the numbers, they're decent, but he's not the same player he was. But you do look at the numbers from this past year. Scoring was a little bit better. Rebounds, assists were about the same. Pretty similar numbers when you look at the last 4 seasons for Draymond Green. I don't think he's as good defensively, though. Draymond said if Bob Myers leaves, which he has since left, he would have to think about leaving. And now he has opted out of his current contract. He is set to become an unrestricted free agent in 2023 NBA free agency, which begins in 11 days. Taking a look at some Draymond destinations, some teams that we have seen linked to the 4-time champ. The Lakers have been a team linked the most. I hear he's a fan of LeBron James. He never talks about LeBron, so I don't know that for sure. Phoenix Suns, because why not? The Dallas Mavericks, I could definitely see that happening. They really need to get defense this summer. The Heat, and then maybe the Warriors. I still think it's a possibility that he comes back if Golden State pays him. Let's put it this way. If Steph Curry, if he tells Mike Dunleavy, the new GM, to pay Draymond Green, he's going to pay Draymond Green. Pick Draymond's next team. Predict it down in the comments section. Where is Draymond going to play next season? Is it going to be Golden State or not? I'm going to say no. I think he leaves. And producer Coop, I don't know how you're going to feel about this. I think he's Dallas Maverick. We will see where he ends up next year. I think the Mavs are going to pay him the most money out of any other team. Zion Williamson, we'll talk about him now. What's the latest? Because there has been a lot of trade buzz around the Pelicans. Superstar Bill Simmons saying this earlier. The Zion thing, in terms of trade buzz, is a real, he said real 3 times. Subplot. I had somebody tell me yesterday that I trust that he will not be on the Pelicans on Thursday. Can you imagine a Zion trade happening the next 3 days? Now, he's only played in, a little over 100 games in his first 4 seasons in the league. Did not play the entire 2021-2022 season. When he has been on the court, he's put up phenomenal numbers. You look at what he did this past season, just 29 games, but 26 points per game, 7.0 rebounds per game. He shot over 60% from the floor. He's a great player, but he has not been able to stay healthy. The Pelicans are rumored to be a little bit frustrated because of all these missed games. 194 missed games in his career, 48 in his rookie year, 11 the next year, where he put up phenomenal numbers that year. Missed the entire season, 2021, 2022, and then he missed 53 games last year, so 194 total games that Zion Williamson has missed. Again, he's a great player when healthy, one of the best players in the league when healthy, but he has not been able to stay on the floor, which has been a problem, and I think the Pelicans are a little bit frustrated. And it's been rumored that they love Scoot Henderson. They're trying to trade into the top 3. They might be willing to give up Zion in order to do that. 2 of those teams that we're just mentioning here on Destinations have a top 3 pick. The Hornets at number 2 overall, the Blazers at number 3. So they've been linked. The Knicks have been linked a lot. So have the Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I could see those 2 teams trying to get involved here as well. Those teams, the Rockets and Thunder, have a plethora of draft picks to potentially offer the New Orleans Pelicans. Will Zion be moved by Thursday's draft? Type T for traded or S for staying in New Orleans. Down in the comment section. Go down, let me know. I think he's going to get traded. I really do. And you're starting to hear some stuff maybe about Brandon Miller, his stock kind of falling. If that's the case, maybe the Hornets will try to trade that number 2 pick for Zion Williamson. Be sure to go get your favorite team's hat at chatsports.com/NBA hats. Got a Mavericks one out there. I'm pretty sure Producer Group has that same exact hat. Celtics one, the Golden State Warriors. Your favorite team will be on there at this link, chatsports.com/NBA hats. Go and get a dope NBA hat at that link. That link is in the comments and the description of today's show, chatsports.com/NBA hats. Is it Dame time in Miami? After missing out on Bradley Beal, the Heat are expected to pursue Damian Lillard. That has been their main focus since that Beal trade went down yesterday. Chris Haynes tweeting this out. Miami's focus is Portland superstar Damian Lillard with the genuine belief that this could be the offseason. The veteran guard seeks a change of scenery, league sources tell TNT and Bleacher Report. I think it's time for Dame to leave Portland. I really respect the loyalty that he's had to that city and to that organization, but they're not going to be a championship contender anytime soon. And while he's still in his prime, while he's still putting up these big numbers, I think he's got to go to a contender like Miami. Taking a look at the numbers for Dame, he is a fantastic player, getting better with age. 32.2 points per game. I mean, that's the best season we've seen from him in recent memory. But the Blazers didn't even make the play-in. So that's pretty frustrating. You got to imagine for Dame. 7.3 assists per game, 46.3% from the floor, 37.1% from three. There is a report that Jimmy Butler is recruiting Damian Lillard to South Beach. That is something to monitor here if Jimmy can convince Dame to leave Portland. We did hear Shams Charania say earlier today, though, that Dame would like to stay in Portland and improve the roster, but that could change. Taking a look at the odds for his next team if he leaves the Portland Trail Blazers. The Heat are the betting favorites. I was a little bit surprised to see the Nets and the Knicks this high up, and I'm also surprised not to see the Philadelphia 76ers, one of the top 5 teams. The Spurs have been the big dark horse here. They could trade for Dame, potentially give up some future picks, and then pair him with Victor Wembanyama. Taking a look at the career playoff stats for Dame. He's one of those guys that just hasn't gotten a ring, right? One of the best active players to not have a championship ring. 25.7 points per game, 6.2 assists per game, 4.5 rebounds per game. 3-point percentage actually really good in the playoffs for Dame. 44.9% from three-point range. Taking a look at a hypothetical trade here. This is what a Damian Lillard trade could look like. In my opinion, the Heat are giving up way too much here. But the Blazers would receive Tyler Herro, and I do believe Tyler Herro would have to be involved in a potential Dame trade. Nikola Jovic, not Jokic, Jovic, the first-round pick from last year. Caleb Martin, I think he'd have to go back, and then 3 unprotected first-round picks. I just think that's a lot to give up for Dame Lillard, but Dame is, one of the best players in the league, one of the best point guards in the league. It's not going to be cheap to get him. I think maybe 1 or 2 picks with that same package might be more realistic. Who is the next superstar to get traded? Let me know down in the comments section. I think it's going to be Zion. I really do. I think Zion Williamson will get moved here before Thursday's draft. There just seems to be a lot of buzz around that possibility. Shifting gears to CP3 now. After the Bradley Beal trade, the Wizards are looking for teams to reroute Chris Paul. As of now, here are the current trade details, not finalized, but this is what it's looking like it's going to be. The Wizards receive Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, 3 second-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. And, Isaiah Todd also involved here. The Suns receive Bradley Beal to add to that Suns roster. So they have the big 3 now. Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. Is that going to work? Not sure. But the focus on this show, at least, is Chris Paul. What's going to happen with CP3? They are trying to look for a third team to reroute Chris Paul. Could be the Lakers. Could be the Clippers. Still a good player, obviously, no longer in his prime. But he did average nearly 9 assists per game in 59 games this past year. There is a report that the Clips want to bring Chris Paul back. That would be interesting. Obviously, he played for them for a long time, one of the best players in that organization's history. Here's the Athletics trade idea. Wizards receive Marcus Morris and Robert Covington. The Clippers receive Chris Paul. I feel like there might have to be some picks involved here. It's pretty wild that the Wizards didn't get a first-round pick here for Beal. I don't know if they they probably won't get a first one for Paul. But I would expect maybe picks to be involved here. Who do you think is going to get CP3 here in the end? Type LAL for the Lakers or LAC for the Clippers down in the comments section. Who is going to be CP3's next team? Coop, who do you think is going to be the next superstar to get traded here? I think a lot of us think it might be Zion Williamson.
I kind of agree with you. I think Zion might be the next one. There's a lot of chatter surrounding him with the NBA draft. The Pelicans were one of the teams that Shams Charania said are looking to move up in the draft. Do they leverage Zion Williamson to try to do that? Maybe with the Charlotte Hornets, maybe with the Portland Trail Blazers. It'll be fascinating to see. Now, like you said, if Dame wants to stay in Portland, how about getting Zion Williamson for the 3rd overall pick?
I think they like Scoot, but if Dame's staying, why would you draft Scoot?
Why would you need Scoot? Exactly.
Don't give me false hope and think Scoot to Houston is still a possibility. Can you imagine? Well, then I guess the Pelicans would probably take. You think the Pelicans would take Scoot then? If they got the 3 pick, number 3 pick.
Yes, I think the Pelicans. Pelicans would take Scoot. I think they're the ones they're the ones to watch to move up. I think
there's a lot of buzz right now. There's a lot of buzz that it is going to be a Zion Williamson trade that goes down before Thursday's draft. That would be wild. Oh my gosh! Guess who's here? Who? Chad Jones in the chat. Chad Jones is here. Chat Sports legend. We appreciate Chad Jones. This is the first time Chad's seen my NBA coverage. Appreciate you tuning in, Chad. Be sure to tune in for the draft Thursday night as well. I think we'll still have Dolphins live on Thursday, but also live during the NBA draft. Appreciate Chad Jones tuning in. Chad, I don't know if you follow the NBA closely, but who do you think is going to be the next superstar that gets traded, Chad? I think it's going to be Zion Williamson. I think it's going to be Zion. Shanav saying Zion. Lore says Jordan Poole. I wouldn't call him a superstar, but he could get traded. NFL kid saying Damian Lillard. Jones saying trade Brogdon, Brown, Smart for Williamson and Porzingis. I'm going to be honest. I think the Celtics lose that deal if you're talking about a 3-team deal there. Daniel saying Clint Capella. How do you feel about Clint Capella to Dallas?
That's really what I would love. I think Bertans in 10 for Capella in 15.
The last time y'all traded for a former Rocket, though, didn't go too great.
It did not go too well, no, but this time he's not coming from Houston.
That's true. Laura saying Jonathan Kuminga. It's possible. Botted Boy saying Chris Paul. Clayton, what's up, my man? We appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you hitting that like button. We're almost to 70 likes. Be sure to like today's video. All right, got a mock draft coming up. Right. Is that presented by? Or we'll just film that. Okay. Excellent. All right, we got a mock draft from The Ringer. Chad Jones is agreeing with me, saying Zion Williamson will be the next superstar to get traded. All right, got a mock draft from The Ringer coming up. We'll tell you who they think is going to which teams in the NBA draft. The NBA draft is on Thursday, so we're going to get you guys The Ringer's latest mock draft on today's show. But first, shout out your favorite NBA team down in the comment section. Who is your favorite team? Shout them out down in the comment section. Let's get into this mock draft from The Ringer. Oh, I'm shocked. Victor Wembanyama going number 1 overall to the San Antonio Spurs. That's a given. We do know that Wemby is going to be the number 1 overall pick to San Antonio, following in his childhood heroes, Tony Parker's footsteps, going from France to San Antonio. Here's what The Ringer said about Wemby. Wembanyama provides the Spurs with a new sun for their existing core to orbit. Interesting. Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson don't get national attention because San Antonio hasn't been competitive in recent years, but they're quietly 2 of the league's best young wings. And Jeremy Shohan just completed an awesome rookie season in which he displayed exactly the type of versatile skills that can make sense to pair with Wemby. So the Spurs might be sneaky good next season. They're also maybe dark horses to land Damian Lillard. Brandon Miller Number 2 overall, I don't think this is a given anymore. There has been some question marks about, the last couple of weeks, his draft prep. He's apparently lost 12 pounds because he has mono. So that's a situation to monitor. Brandon Miller maybe not going number 2 overall. If the Hornets keep that pick, though, I expect Miller to be the pick, but they could trade it for Zion Williamson. Here's what the Ringer said about Miller. Shams Charania report on Monday that the New Orleans Pelicans are pushing to trade for a top pick, and they're targeting Henderson. What if the Hornets could get North Carolina's own Brandon Ingram, plus the 14th pick and multiple future firsts? Ingram would be a great fit next to LaMelo Ball, plus the Hornets would pick up more draft capital. For now, I'm keeping Miller slotted here since all reports have suggested that that's the direction the Hornets are leading. Miller brings playmaking skill on top of his go-to scoring prowess. So if Miller goes 2, Scoot goes 3. I mean, there's really no question about that. If the Hornets keep the pick, they'll go Miller. That means Scoot goes number 3. But will the Blazers keep the pick? Not sure. I think you got to trade Damian Lillard if you take Scoot Henderson. Amen Thompson looks to be going to Houston. All signs point toward the overtime elite guard going to Houston. There was a report that came out of his workout in H-Town that he's the best athlete they've ever seen in terms of a prospect that they've scouted. They're very high on Thompson. All signs point toward him being the number 4 overall pick. Now, a lot of people thought Houston was going to trade that pick. I don't think that's going to happen by Thursday. Jarris Walker, the forward from the University of Houston. Number 5 overall, I think the Pistons are really interested in him based on what we've been hearing. I would expect him to go to Detroit at number 5. Anthony Black, the Arkansas guard, I could see him going anywhere from 6 to 10. The Ringer has him going number 6 here to the Magic. Really good defensive player. Got to work on his offensive production a little bit. Kim Whitmore, one of the more polarizing prospects here. Some people really like him. Some people don't really like him. I'm kind of in the middle there. But the forward from Villanova mocked here to Indiana at number 7 overall. And then Asir Thompson, yes, the twin brother of Amen, going number 8 overall to the Washington Wizards. Also played at Overtime Elite. I think a lot of people have questions about, can the Overtime Elite experiment work? Can those guys be good in the NBA? We're about to find out with the Thompson twins. Bilal Coulibaly, his stock continues to rise. Victor Wembanyama's teammate with Mets 92. I remember a couple weeks ago when this guy was like going late first in all these mock drafts. Now he's going top 10 consistently, and the team I've seen him mock to the most is the Utah Jazz at number 9 overall. And then producer Coop's going to be very happy if this happens. Taylor Hendricks, number 10 overall to Dallas Mavericks. And not only do I think this is the best pick the Mavs can make, I think the Mavs are an outstanding fit for Hendricks. I think he can play. I think he can be a starter there, Coop, maybe day 1. I really do believe that. And you look at Hendricks as a scorer. I mean, he can absolutely shoot lights out from 3. And if you're a big man in the NBA, you can get rebounds, you can block shots, and you can shoot, you're going to be really good. And he can do all 3 of those things, the UCF product. But a lot of people believe the Mavericks are going to trade down. Will they trade down? Y for yes, in for no, down in the comments section. Here's my take. If the Mavericks are unable to get Hendricks, if he's off the board by 10, they will trade down. Going back to the Ringer's mock draft here, we got Derek Lively, the second, going to the Orlando Magic. You talk about another guy in addition to Coulibaly, whose stock continues to rise. Lively was a former 5-star. He didn't put up the numbers, at least in terms of scoring, that a lot of people were expecting him to at Duke, but the guy's a great rebounder and a great defender. That's why I think he's going to go really high in this draft. Kobe Buffkin, the guard from Michigan, fully expect him to be a lottery pick. This is a really good pick if it happens. The Ringer has him going to Oklahoma City. And then Jalen Hood-Schifino, the guard from Indiana, going to number 13 to the Raptors. That is the team I've seen him mock to the most. And then Keontae George, the last pick in the lottery, going number 14 overall to the New Orleans Pelicans, the guard out of Baylor. Great player. This would be a great pick for the Hawks. Grady Dick, number 15 overall out of Kansas. Got a chance to watch this guy play at KU, man. Special player. I think his skills translate to the NBA. Here's what the Ringer said about Grady Dick. I could see the Hawks drafting Dick to add a floor spacer for Trae Young. But if Young ends up playing more off-ball in Quinn Snyder's system, then Dick could tap into his own creation ability to create a more dynamic half-court offense. If Grady Dick's on the board at 15, the Hawks should absolutely take him. That's my take. Cason Wallace, the guard out of Kentucky, going here to number 16, the Utah Jazz. They have a couple picks in this draft. Will they spend one on Wallace? I'll have to wait and see. And then Jet Howard, another Michigan guy, in addition to Kobe Buffkin. He's going number 17 overall in the Ringers mock draft to the Lakers. And then Bryce Sensabaugh, another Big Ten guy, to Miami here at number 18. Are the Heat going to keep that pick? I'm not sure. They might try to trade it as part of a Damian Lillard trade. I think we're going to see a big trade by Thursday. I think it's more likely to be Zion than Dame, but something to monitor here in the next couple of days. Will the Heat make it back to the finals next season? Type M for make or type H for staying home. The roster's got to get better. They can't run it back with the same exact roster. They got to give Jimmy Butler and Bam some help. We're going to be live for the draft on Thursday night. Looking forward to that, so be sure to tune in. We're going to have the best coverage here on YouTube. That's a sublink right there, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Be sure to hit that subscribe button below and turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. We're going to have you cover no commercial breaks. You're here from me, Jay Sr., Harrison Graham, and others on Thursday night. Looking forward to seeing you there. Brandon Podziemski, the guard out of Santa Clara. There's some good prospects over in the West Coast Conference. Podziemski, one of those guys. He's staying out west, going to the Golden State Warriors in the Ringers mock draft. And then Nick Smith Jr., the guard out of Arkansas, H-Town bound, according to the Ringer. However, I'm hearing the Rockets are going to trade that pick. We'll have to wait and see. Jordan Hawkins, this would be a steal if he falls to number 21 here to the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets have plenty of good shooters. They have Hawkins here going to the Nets. They have back-to-back picks. And then Leonard Miller, the forward from the G League Ignite, going number 22. James Najee, a lot of people might say this is a reach at number 23, but I like him as a prospect. The center from Nigeria, played for Barcelona in the Euro League. Number 23 overall here to the Portland Trail Blazers. And then Olivier Maxence Prosper, the forward out of Marquette, going to the Sacramento Kings. Going to be interesting to see what Sacramento does in this draft and also this offseason. They're a couple moves away from being a legit contender out west. Noah Clowney, the forward from Alabama, maybe didn't get a lot of hype because he's Brandon Miller's teammate, but he's also a great player, and the Ringer has him going to Memphis. Who's your favorite NBA draft prospect? Let me know down in the comments section. If I can't say Wembanyama, I'll probably say Taylor Hendricks or Marcus Sasser. Those are my two guys right there, man. Colby Jones, the guard out of Xavier, mocked here to Indiana at pick number 26. The Pacers' second pick here in the first round. And then the Hornets' second pick is Chris Murray. Yes, the brother of Keegan Murray, twin brother of Keegan, also played at Iowa. And then Derek Whitehead, the forward out of Duke, going number 28 overall to the Utah Jazz. Jazz have a plethora of picks. Maxwell Lewis, another Pacers pick. The guard out of Pepperdine, mocked here at number 29 overall. And then the last pick of the first round in the Ringers mock draft is Trace Jackson Davis, the forward from Indiana. Grade the Ringers NBA mock draft. Type A, B, C, D, or F. What do you think about their mock draft? Let me know down in the comments. Got a mailbag coming up. Hashtag NBA or Super Chat to be featured. You can ask about trade rumors, the draft, free agency, whatever you want to ask about. I know Chad Jones is going to have some questions. Let me know what questions you have by using hashtag NBA. But the best way to get on the show is Super Chat. Chad Jones knows what I say. Super Chat like Mo, get on the show. We'll get you on the show if you Super Chat. All right, Coop. Let me ask you a question.
What's up?
Who is someone in the draft that's going to fall that we don't expect to fall?
That's a good question. Let me pull the mock back up real quick. Someone that we don't expect to fall?
That we do not expect. Can I give you a name? We say the name on three. We say name on three. One, two, three. Cam Whitmore.
Thompson.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I could actually see that. I could see that. Could you see Cam Whitmore?
I could see Cam Whitmore falling. Look, I mean, he's now being mocked in the top 5 in some places where he hasn't been, he's kind of been anywhere from 15 to 5. So I think he has a big range. Dude, those overtime elite players just scare me.
I'm with you.
Just don't know.
But let me ask you this. How come a men's stock has risen and a Sirs has not?
I think Amen is the better NBA-ready prospect right now.
Okay.
I think he's a pure guard. He has better skills that are ready at the NBA level. I think Asar has a lot of work to do.
Okay.
So,
Asar, would you say he's the better defender out of the two, and then maybe
he's the better defender.
Amen's the better scorer?
Yeah, that's probably what I would say. It's just hard to tell, man. I mean, no one watches Overtime Elite. You have no idea when their games are on.
I really don't understand in the age of NIL why anyone would go the Overtime Elite route or even the G League Ignite route. Because before it made sense. You go get a bag. You could start making money as an 18, 19-year-old. But now you can make all this NIL money, get great experience playing college basketball.
For sure.
Like, I don't understand.
Well,
I don't understand.
I mean, look, Overtime Elite's paying too. They're giving
I know.
figure deals.
7 figures?
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
It's
all
big
right.
time.
Now then I understand. if I'm getting a milli to play for Overtime Elite, where do I sign? But still, I just think in the age of NIL certainly changed things. And I think you see a lot of guys coming back to school that wouldn't have come back otherwise.
I agree.
Because of NIL.
Sure.
Because of NIL.
And because those guys may not have NBA futures, they can make more money in college than they could playing in Europe or elsewhere.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Got a mailbag coming up. I see Jason Tatum Prods asking some questions. Hashtag NBA or Super Chat to be featured on the show. You're watching the NBA Now mailbag. I am Will Scott answering your questions here before Thursday's draft. First question coming in from Lore. What trade offers will the Warriors get for Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga? To be honest with you, I don't think the Warriors are going to get any offers for those guys. I think they're going to be doing the offering. I think they're going to try to make a trade for, let's say, a guy like OG Anunoby, maybe go after somebody else, but I think they're going to include those guys in deals to try to get better players in the building. I think a team that could inquire about Poole maybe is the Nets, but I expect the Warriors to be offering the deals that include those players, not the other way around. Botted Boys 133. Does Damian Lillard get traded to a contender? Does he get his ring? There was a report from Shams Charania that said that he would like to stay in Portland. I don't know if that's going to remain the case. If they take Scoot Henderson, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to keep Dame. If they trade that pick for, let's say, a guy like Zion, then obviously they would keep Dame. But I do believe that Dame will get traded. I think the Heat are going to make that happen. And I think Dame and Jimmy and Bam together in Miami would win a ring. And when you say Miami. Corporate Chris, more likely to be traded, Zion or Jaylen Brown? I mean, based on what we've heard as we're recording this on Monday, I think it's Zion. There's been more trade buzz around Zion recently. And then you have a report from the Boston Globe that Jaylen Brown is expected to sign an extension. Who's more likely to be traded this offseason? Who do y'all think? Zion Williamson or Jaylen Brown? Type ZW for Zion or JB for Jaylen Brown down in the comments section. Go down in the comments. Let me know what you think. I think a couple weeks ago, it would have been Jaylen Brown. Now, it's Zion Williamson. Ruski, what's up, my man? What player or players should the Raptors get in free agency and in the draft? That's a good question. I would bring back Fred VanVleet. I would try to bring him back, run it back with Siakam. I don't think I would trade Anunoby, honestly. I think the Raptors have a lot of talent on this team. I'll throw a name at you. In terms of a guy that I would go all in for if I am the Raptors, I think it's Austin Reeves. I think Austin Reeves, putting him at the 2, starting him at the 2, bringing back Van Vliet, bringing back Anunoby, bringing back Siakam, that's a really good 5 over there in Toronto. I'll also say this, they should bring back Jakob Poeltl. Daniel with our next question, and it's going to be for producer Coop because it does involve the Dallas Mavericks.
It does, yes. Clint Capella and the 15th pick to the Mavericks for Davis Bertans and the 10th pick to the Hawks. Would you do it? I absolutely would do it. The problem is that the Hawks want to include John Collins instead of Clint Capella in that trade. I don't love Collins in that deal. I'd much rather have Clint Capella. But
and that feels a bigger need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if this is the deal, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would do that. I would do that deal as well. I think if a team says no to that, it's Atlanta. I think Atlanta might want a little bit more, but that pick swap that moves them up 5 picks, Davis Bertans is involved. I would certainly do that if I was the Dallas Mavericks. Fred with our next question. Wendell Carter and Gary Harris traded from the Orlando Magic for Jared Allen from the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is interesting. I don't hate this. Jared Allen's a great player. He's had good career thus far in Cleveland. Carter and Harris, they're decent players. Carter, a draft pick from pretty recently, and then Harris has been a good player in this league for a long time. It might take a pick involved in that as well, but Fred with a pretty good trade idea right there. I think it might make sense for the Magic. I don't know if it would make sense for Cleveland. They're going to try to improve that roster and be a legit contender in the East next year. We're going to be live for the draft on Thursday, so be sure to subscribe and join us. That's the sub link right there, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Turn your notifications, hit the sub button below. We'll look forward to seeing you on Thursday night for our draft coverage. Our draft coverage better than anywhere else. Not even ESPN is going to be able to hang with us because not like ESPN. We're not going to commercial breaks like ESPN. Remember Nikola Jokic drafted during a Taco Bell commercial? That's not going to happen here on Chat Sports. AJ, $5 super chat. We appreciate you, my man. Do you see Memphis getting involved in the big names that are becoming available to stay afloat with the Ja suspension? I'll throw a name at you, AJ, and I'll even make a prediction for you, AJ. I think Malcolm Brogdon is a Memphis Grizzly. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Grizzlies to trade for a point guard. Brogdon was the 6th man. He would fill that void in Ja's 25-game absence. I do not expect both Brogdon and Smart to be back in Boston. I think they're going to look to mix things up at the guard position. That's a name. I'll give you another name as well. Fred VanVleet. You bring him to town if you are the Memphis Grizzlies here. Try to fill that void with Ja being out 25 games. But Brogdon could make a lot of sense because you could start him when Ja's suspended and then bring him off the bench when he gets back. AJ Scales, Draymond Green has said in the past he wants to come home to Michigan to end his career. So the Pistons. Do you see him doing that or going to the Lakers? I think Draymond's going to want to stay on a contender, and the Lakers could probably still be considered a contender. They finished second in the West, 7th in the West in the regular season. They were the Western Conference finalists, finishing in the Western Conference Finals, losing to the Nuggets. Draymond destinations, here they are. These are the top 5 teams we've seen linked. The Lakers, the Suns, the Mavs, the Heat, and the Warriors. AJ, I actually think he's going to Dallas. That's my prediction when you're talking about Draymond Green. Predict Draymond's next team. Let me know down in the comments section. Where do you think Draymond Green is going to play next season? I say Dallas. What do you say? Down in the comments section, let me know. Jason Tatum Prods, what's up? Where do you think Jaylen Brown will get traded to? Well, I don't think he's going to get traded. I think that report from the Boston Globe kind of solidifies my opinion on that he is going to be back in Boston. If he does get moved, I think the Blazers make a lot of sense because maybe you bring Damian Lillard to Boston in that deal. Maybe even a straight-up swap there could make some sense for both sides if they draft Scoot Henderson. Chad Jones. Who? Chad Jones. What did it mean that the Bulls' 11th pick will not convey to Orlando?
So basically, they had a trade where the Bulls had a top protected pick or whatever.
Okay.
And it didn't meet that threshold. So the pick.
Yes.
So Orlando keeps the pick instead of the
Orlando keeps the pick. Right. So that's what that means. It was a top 10 protected pick. The Bulls did not get that pick, so it goes to Orlando. We would have seen a similar thing had the Mavs not gotten into the top 10. That was a top 10 protected pick, but because they were able to land a top 10 pick, they keep that pick. Hopefully that explains it, Chad. We appreciate it, my man. 2.0. What roster move would push this Pacers team into the playoffs? This Pacers team is very close. They have Tyrese Halliburton as their star player. He's fantastic. I'm so excited to see what he does in Indiana. That being said, he needs some help. I'm going to say Austin Reeves is the name to watch for Indiana. They have been heavily linked to Austin Reeves. I think they might be willing to overpay Reeves a little bit. And I think Reeves next to Halliburton, that backcourt would be special. Matthew Frey, where do the Nuggets have to improve at to get back to the finals next year? Matthew, so funny, man. I saw this meme on Twitter yesterday after the Bradley Beal trade went down. And it had the Photoshop picture of Bradley Beal in the Suns jersey next to Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And it said, all this to stop this. And it was a picture of Nikola Jokic riding his horse. I still would take Denver. I still would take Denver over Phoenix. I don't think the Phoenix experiment's going to work. I think the Nuggets have got to bring back Brown. I think what did Malone say, man? Run it back. I don't really think they have to do much except bring back their current pieces, man. Now, that's my take on the Nuggets. Tune, what Boston trade do you see happening? I think they're going to trade. My bold prediction in Boston is they trade Malcolm Brogdon. I think to Memphis is a possibility. We also heard from Adam Hillsbach in the Boston Globe today that potentially a Grant Williams-Zion trade could happen as well. So that's something to monitor. In terms of maybe a trade target to watch, I would say Dorian Finney-Smith in Brooklyn. In my perfect offseason video that I did for the Celtics, I included trading for Dorian Finney-Smith. Alize, thanks for the question. Pull and Kuminga for picks and Kuminga and picks for Damian Lillard. If I am the Trailblazers, I say no to that. Pull's a good player, but I think you can do better than Pull and picks and Kuminga. I think the best package that you can get, one of the best packages at least, is from the Miami Heat, because you'll probably get Tyler Herro on that deal, who I really like. And if you trade with the 76ers, you might get Maxey. So I just think you can get better players from some other teams. Quinn Burns, what can the Sixers possibly get with Tobias Harris? He needs to leave this team. He is holding them back. I don't disagree. I don't think they're going to get much. They might have to include him in a deal. Let's say they get involved here for Damian Lillard, maybe send him back. There are some rumors they might offer him for Bradley Beal. I think it's more of them offering him in a trade. In terms of what he's worth just by himself, what do you think, Producer Scoop? Maybe a second? Maybe? Not much. We're going to be live for every pick of the 2023 NBA Draft, so be sure to subscribe. Looking forward to seeing you all on Thursday night. More likely to be traded. You know, Producer Coop, 2 weeks ago, I think most people would say Jaylen Brown. Now I think you got to say Zion Williamson.
I think it's Zion by a mile, right?
Today has changed that.
I was going to say.
We heard that report from Bill Simmons.
Exactly.
We heard that report from the Boston Globe. Today is very much shifted this conversation to Zion Williams.
And even if you're Jaylen Brown and you're not thrilled about staying with the Celtics, you have 295 million reasons why you would stay with the Boston Celtics. Right. So
that's a lot of money.
It's an insane amount of money, and if you're Jaylen Brown, you can't turn it down.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Christopher Allen saying Zion. Laura saying Zion. I think most people are going to be saying Zion at this point. It might have been different yesterday or a couple weeks ago, but now it's got to be Zion. Just got this report from Jonathan Gambadoro, who's a sports talk host in Phoenix. The guy seems to have all the scoops, Coop. He says DeAndre Ayton was requested by Washington in the Beal trade, but the Suns declined to include him. Hashtag free DeAndre Ayton. He does not want to be in Phoenix.
He doesn't want to be in Phoenix. My guess is that they think they can get a better separate offer for Ayton somewhere else. I do not think Ayton is a Phoenix Sun by opening night. It just doesn't make any sense. Ayton doesn't want to be... Well, I'll say this. Ayton didn't want to be there with Monty Williams. Monty Williams got fired now. It's Frank Vogel there.
So those two didn't get along?
Those two didn't get along at all. Especially in the playoffs when they were getting clapped by the Mavs last year. And he benched Ayton in the fourth quarter. As Sam Brown gives me a nod.
Interesting.
Yeah, those two didn't get along, so I wonder if that changes things there.
Interesting. Will another big trade happen before the draft, yes or no? I'm going to say yes. I think we see a Zion trade potentially before draft night. Might even go down on draft night. Can you imagine if the Charlotte Hornets are on the clock at number 2 and they trade for Zion Williamson?
That would be legendary.
Oh, that'd be crazy. You're not going to want to miss our draft coverage. Again, be sure to subscribe. We're going to be live during Thursday's draft. We're going to end today's live show talking about some blockbuster trades. We're ready to get rolling with this segment, Producer Coop. Yes, you're good. Cool. Yep. You're watching NBA Now. I'm Will Scott. We're talking about some blockbuster trade ideas. 5 trades that we would like to see potentially go down. We'll give you some trade ideas on today's show. Now, we saw the Bradley Beal blockbuster earlier. Will another big trade happen before the draft? Type Y for yes or N for no down in the comments section. Will we see another blockbuster trade in the association before Thursday night's NBA draft? Here is our first trade idea that we are going to discuss. Heat receive Damian Lillard, and apparently after missing on Bradley Beal, Miami is going all in, trying to get Dame to the 305. They also get Drew Eubanks in this deal, who's a big man. I don't know about you. I'm not even a Heat fan, but I can't watch Cody Zeller play basketball again. They got to trade for a backup big. The Blazers receive Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, the 18th overall pick, and a future first. Now, like I said, we do know that Miami's focus is Damian Lillard. Chris Hayes tweeting that out with a genuine belief that this could be the offseason. The veteran guard seeks a change of scenery. Dame is still putting up outstanding numbers. Yeah, he's getting older, but I don't really care because he put up 32 points per game last season at the age of 32. 7.3 assists per game, 46.3% field goal percentage. So those numbers even better than what we've seen in previous years from Damian Lillard. Will Dame be traded to Miami? Is it Dame time in South Beach? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Down in the comments section, will he be taking his talents to South Beach? Let me know down in the comments. This trade idea is very interesting. Maybe the most interesting trade idea we're going to discuss today in this video. The Rockets receive Zion Williamson. The Pelicans receive Jabari Smith Jr., the 3rd overall pick last year, KJ Martin, the 4th overall pick, and a future first. Zion put up these numbers last year, 26.0 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 60.8% field goal percentage, but he has not played in a whole lot of games his career because he continues to miss time with injuries. 48 games in his rookie year. Remember, that was that long-awaited debut for Zion Williamson. 11 missed games the next year. That's when he put up his best year. He was an all-star that year. Missed the full 2021-2022 season with that foot injury, and then just played in 29 games last season. So 194 missed games for Zion in his career. He's played in far less games than expected, obviously. He's played in, a little over 100 games and missed 194 games. That is not good. Got the NBA draft this Thursday. Don't miss a thing by subscribing to the channel. We're looking forward to seeing you all on Thursday night. Going to have the best draft coverage on YouTube. You'll hear from me. You'll hear from producer Jeffrey Cooperstein. You'll hear from Chase Sr., Harrison Graham. We're going to have you covered all night long during the NBA draft. Best part, no commercial breaks. Trade idea number 3. Sixers receive Damian Lillard. The Blazers receive Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and a future first and a second-round pick. Now, this is a lot to give up for Dame, but if you're Philadelphia, This championship window is closing. Daryl Morey's got to make something happen. Maybe that big trade that he swings for is Damian Lillard. Here's his playoff stats: 25.7 points per game, 6.2 assists per game, and 61 career playoff games, 4.5 rebounds per game, 46.3% from the floor. Good three-pointer in the playoffs, 44.9%. Now, Damian Lillard apparently wants to stay in Portland. We heard that report from Shams Charania that he would like to stay. But at the same time, man, Damian Lillard doesn't have that many prime years left. He's got to go get a ring. Well, he still has a shot. And Portland, they might get better this offseason. They might become a playoff team, but they're not going to be good enough in the next few years for Dame to have a shot to win his first ring. If he goes to Miami, he's going to have a shot. If he goes to Philadelphia, he's going to have a shot. If he goes to Boston, he's going to have a shot. Those are some of the betting favorites right now to land Lillard. I think it makes some sense for the Blazers to move on if they draft Scoot Henderson at number 3 overall on Thursday night. Go get your favorite team's draft hat at chatsports.com/NBA hats. Your favorite team's hat, go pick it up. Chatsports.com/NBA hats. Your favorite prospect going to be wearing your team's hat on Thursday night. Go get yours right now. Chatsports.com/NBA hats. Every team's on there. Chatsports.com/NBA hats. That link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Chatsports.com/NBA hats. Taking a look at our fourth trade idea here. The Raptors receive Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, and a first-round pick. The Warriors receive OG Anunoby and Malachi Flynn. Now, the Warriors are expected to shop Poole and Kuminga. And someone asked me this earlier, what are they going to get for them? I think they got to go out and get a player like OG Anunoby. I think that makes a lot of sense for the Warriors. I mentioned for Philadelphia that championship window closing a little bit. You could say the same thing about Golden State. OG Anunoby would be fantastic next to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I think that makes them a better basketball team this trade. This is also very interesting. The fifth and final trade idea we're discussing here. The Celtics receive Mikal Bridges, Nick Claxton, a first and second round pick. The Nets receive Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and Robert Williams. Now, Jaylen Brown, apparently he's not going to get traded, but let's say the Celtics offer him $295 million, and he says no. What choice do you have at that point? If you're Boston, you got to move on. You cannot let this guy walk in free agency for nothing. He is coming off the best season of his career, so his value is going to be higher than ever. 26.6 points per game, 3.5 assists per game. He shot 49.1% from the floor, 33.5% from three-point range, but he was not as good in the playoffs. 22.7 points per game in the postseason, 5.6 rebounds per game, 3.4 assists per game, 49.6% from the floor, 35.4% from three. Jaylen Brown, I expect him to remain in Boston, but again, the Celtics do not have a choice. If he does not sign an extension, I think you got to move on if you're Boston. I think the Nets can give you a pretty good package. He's been linked to Brooklyn before. He, in fact, was apparently offered to the Nets in a potential Kevin Durant deal. So maybe Brooklyn would inquire about Jaylen Brown if he became available. But I think it'd take a guy like Mikal Bridges to pull that off, not to mention Nick Claxton going back to Boston as well. I think that makes some sense. The Celtics have got to add some big man depth. Robert Williams is fantastic. He struggled staying healthy. Taking a look at the extension numbers here for Jaylen Brown. Here's what that extension would look like. $50.05 million in 2024-25, $54 million after that, $58 million the year after that, I should say, $62 million in 2027-2028, and then the final year of that contract, $66 million. I don't see Jaylen Brown turning that down, but if he does, I think you got to trade him. What trade idea was your favorite? Type 1, 2, 3, or type 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Here is trade idea number 1. Has Damian Lillard going to the Miami Heat. To be honest, this one was my personal favorite. Trade idea number 2. Sending Zion to the Houston Rockets. The Pelicans get a pretty good package here. the 4th overall pick, a future first, Jabari Smith Jr., the number 3 overall pick last year, and then KJ Martin, who's a really good young player in his own right. Trading number 3 sends Damian Lillard to Philadelphia, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and a couple picks going back to the Blazers. I think that's a really good package for Portland. This trade idea sends OG Anunoby, who was in trade rumors during the deadline, going to be in trade rumors again during the offseason, sending him to Golden State. And then this 5th trade idea, Mikal Bridges to Boston. And I get it. I don't think they're going to trade Bridges. But if they want to get Jaylen Brown, if Jaylen Brown becomes available, maybe that makes some sense for both teams. Again, we're going to be live during the NBA draft on Thursday. Looking forward to seeing you there. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Going to be live for the draft on Thursday. We're excited. Me and producer Coop both going to be involved in that coverage. What are you most looking forward to, Coop, about the draft? I'm guessing you're going to say what the Mavs do at 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated to see what they do. I think if I were to say right now, it's probably 85% they trade the pick. I would say 15% they keep it. That 15% is if Taylor Hendricks is available at 10. If he's not, I'm trading the pick.
I'm with you. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. If Hendricks is there at 10, now do you take Lively at 10? I think that's a reach. I'm going to be honest. I think that's a reach. I would rather trade back.
There's a lot of smoke about him rising up draft boards and that the Mavericks at 10 are a hot spot for Lively. Teams might want to trade into that pick to select Lively, so it's possible that he can be taken there as well.
Right. I'm curious to see what goes down at number 2 overall. If the Hornets maybe trade for Zion,
if they trade for Zion, it'd be possible, and then they get the Pelicans would get Miller.
What if the Hornets are unsure about that pick? Do you see them trading down?
Yeah, I mean, I think every scenario is in play with the Hornets.
Because there's going to be teams that offer a haul to get
And the
Scoot.
Hornets need everything. Yeah, they have LaMelo Ball, who's a great franchise point guard, but they need so many other pieces to be able to even compete for the play-in in the Eastern Conference.
I'm going to be honest. I'm trading that pick if I'm Charlotte. I really do.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I'd trade that pick. We're going to be live during the draft. We're looking forward to seeing you all there. Producer Coop, do you know what time we're going live? 2 hours before the draft, is that right?
I believe that's correct.
2 hours before the draft, so be sure to subscribe. We will be live on Thursday evening. Looking forward to seeing you all there. Until then, this has been Will Scott, producer Jeff Cooperstein. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. Going to be a fun night on Thursday.